everyone, this is Laurie from Work It, and I am here today with Dr. Doughty Jenkins from Eli Terry Middle School in Terryville, Connecticut. She is going to be my speaker today, and the topic is going to be, do I need college? So I think that's going to be a topic that hits home in a lot of American homes and worldwide homes. So today's podcast is sponsored by workitcareers.com. So please take a visit to the website to learn more about how EQ meets IQ and how you can find your perfect career path. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Is it okay for me to call you Dr. DJ so I do not mess up that last name?
That'll be perfectly fine.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, welcome. I'm excited to have you here today. An educator. We have not had an educator on the podcast series.
Oh, wow.
So I'm excited.
Oh, good.
Finally someone who is going to listen to me, because I've struggled for the last 4 years trying to get administrators and teachers to really understand the importance of identifying a career path as young as 10, 12, 15 years old. So I'm hoping that we can spin off of each other and have a good conversation today.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
So, I mentioned earlier that today's topic is going to be, do I need college? So I guess my first question for you would be, not everyone needs college. Is that true?
That is absolutely true. Not everyone needs college. Not everyone is a college-bound kind of person. The college setting is not for everyone. It all depends on your learning style. If you have a hands-on learning style, college is probably not the place for you, because you need to be hands-on. You need to get your hands dirty. You need to be in the thick of it. That's not that to say that you don't need to get educated.
Okay.
It's just that a college, a 4-year college, a 2-year college just might not be for you.
There are some technical hands-on colleges, though, that seem to be scooping up those hands-on learners.
Yes.
How do you feel about those?
I like them as long as they stay with their intended purpose.
Okay.
Which is to train in the hands-on with the hands-on.
Okay.
And some schools are short programs, several weeks, several months. It doesn't have to be a 2-year college, a 4-year college for everyone. That's not the place for everyone. The example I used earlier today was you can be this big, huge financial executive and work in the insurance company in Hartford, but if your car can't get you there, you're stuck. So you need that mechanic who has that hands-on experience to get your car prepped to get you there. So to have a society that lives together in harmony, you need to have different branches and different aspects coming into play.
Yeah, I think you're bringing up a good point. Skilled trades, especially, in Connecticut where we live, is you can see that there's not enough people to fill these open positions. So here we are with our hottest summer on record here in Connecticut. And I know that if our air conditioning was to malfunction, we would probably have to wait in line for somebody to come and service us.
And I think the big important thing is not the college, so to speak, as we said earlier, but the work ethic. You need to have a good work ethic. You need to go to work every day. You need to have that good attendance. You need to have the desire to want to learn. Those are they call them more soft skills that you need to succeed in the industry today.
Sure.
Especially with there's such a shortage in the manufacturing with the resurgence. I call it a resurgence in manufacturing, that they're just looking for people who are willing to come every day, put in their, the hours that they want them to, be willing to learn, and you can have a great career.
Well, Dr. DJ, you're touching my heart, because manufacturing's been my life for many, many years, probably as long as you've been teaching. So I understand, finding people that are actually passionate about what they do, the hands-on learning, and having employers that are taking the time to teach them as well. That's important. It has to be, a win-win for both sides. So, staying with this theme of, do I need college? We're talking about skilled trades that is in high demand right now. From what I'm seeing, there's probably a better salary opportunity for many students thinking about going into the trades today versus going into a 4-year college. How does a teacher, how do parents deal with this pressure that's now, or I guess this awakening that's just now coming in front of us?
Well, it's tough. There's different kind of gather my thought here for a
Uh-uh.
second. You think about an occupation, you think about a trade, you think about a career, and if somebody is passionate about it, if your student, your child is passionate about it, don't be afraid to investigate it some more. Don't be afraid to check out what's going on in the community. Go visit places in the community. Talk to people in that industry.
Mhm.
See what the real thing you need to do for that is. Don't be afraid to do that with your child because you can take off on so many different paths. If somebody's interested in music, that doesn't mean they're going to be a famous singer. They could be behind the scenes. They could be working on Broadway. They can be working at the Bushnell. They can be a music teacher. And all of those are still great careers.
Mhm.
Just ask around for the different ins and outs of the different career clusters that you can tap into.
So you're bringing up kind of a career exploration. So field trips. You're a
Oh,
teacher, aren't you?
yes.
And how long have you been teaching?
30 years. This is my
Wow.
30th year.
So you get it.
Yep.
You've seen it. You've been there. You've done that.
Yep.
Are you seeing that schools are becoming more open or closed to bringing children on field trips so that they can explore?
I think it's a lot of it has to do, unfortunately, with budget. If they can get the buses, if they can get the substitutes to cover it, unfortunately, that's where the numbers game is. I know personally when I taught journalism and I took the kids to Connecticut School of Broadcasting, they loved it. That was their favorite field trip of all of middle school because they got to do stuff hands on. They got to run the cameras. They got to type the copy. They got to do the things hands on to see what goes on. I know Arthur G. Russell is a field trip that many of our students take, and they enjoy that because they get to see what goes on. You have a,
And that's robotics for Arthur G. Russell
right,
Company.
and it you have an image in your mind, and sometimes that's all you see is that image in your mind. But when you actually go and visit, and you actually go and talk to people, and you actually go and see what's happening and what's going on, you get a clear picture of what that involves and what you need to do. So I would say, back to the parents and students, be supportive of your student and don't be afraid if it's something that's out of the ordinary. I just watched the news today, and on the news on CNN, they had an 11-year-old that interviewed one of the presidential debate candidates, 11 years old, because this was the kid's passion. He loved the news, he loves politics, and he was on CNN interviewing presidential debate candidates.
Do you find that students, 10, 11 years old, 12 maybe, they have less fear? There's less fear in them than maybe a 14 to 18-year-old. Do you feel that way?
Because as you get older, I think maybe walls are built up,
Mm-hmm.
boundaries are built up, and when you're still that young, you still have a little bit of that. You're okay with speaking your mind. You're okay of taking chances. You're okay of trying new things.
Right.
That's why it's so important with the school to career, when that legislation came into play. The big thing of it was it's school career connecting activities, K life, not K-12, K life. So that's why that's so important to start it at K and keep it continuing through life.
I agree 100%. If students can actually do some career exploration as young as 5 years old, and some of my previous podcasts, I actually asked the question, when did you first get involved in whatever it was that they are studying? And many of them said between the ages of 5 and 7, and that's great. I mean, it's huge.
Or to find out what you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yes.
I know, even when I was younger, I loved to cook. I was going to be a chef. I was going to be a chef. I was going to be a chef. And didn't really investigate it any further. I was going to be a chef. I was going to Johnson Wales. That was it. And then when I realized how much energy and work and just physical energy and the hours and all the things that came along with being a chef, I realized, well, that's probably not the right career for me.
Yeah.
But it was important to see all that, or else I would have never known.
Right. Right.
Would
So
have
the
never known.
sooner you can explore the full picture,
Right.
is really what you're talking about. So, being a teacher who has obviously, you've gone beyond the normal education required to become a teacher.
That is correct.
So, how did you evolve to become the doctor of education that you are?
Well, it actually started with School to Career. We had a School to Career program that was starting in our district because at the time it was the law, it was the legislation, and that became part of our district. And they just kind of asked teachers who's interested in kind of taking part or being involved. And it wasn't really a great system in the beginning. Then we got a really wonderful School to Career person, Lisa.
Lisa Iudi,
Lisa
she's
Iudi,
amazing.
she's amazing. When she came
Shout out to you, girl.
she was the greatest. When she came in and took over School to Career, it really truly became what it was supposed to be. And we had our district was lucky to have some of the actual School to Career pioneers, Mike Mangillo, right from the beginning, helping us with that, how it has to be, the connecting activities. And I just got so involved in it and just became so passionate with it and just saw that this was something that I truly believed in. And I kept investigating and researching and investigating and researching. And it was just like, if I'm going to be doing all of this research, I want to put it to some kind of good use. I want to put it to some kind of product that somebody's going to use someday, that somebody can utilize and know how it all started. And the doctorate program just got approved at Central, and I applied and got interviewed and was accepted in their first class of their doctorate program. And that's why, because I was just so passionate about a topic that if I was going to do all this research, I wanted it to be for a purpose and for a reason, not just to do it and to know the information.
Sure. Well, you're probably the only person that I know that has a doctorate in School to Career. And believe it or not, I didn't realize that there was such a thing.
Well, it's a doctorate in education, but my dissertation is all School to Career.
Yeah. Thank you for having a similar passion to me. and we're opposite as far as learning style. So you're more the researcher. You want the information, the hard facts. And for me, I'm more of a gut feel, experience it by, exploratory and all that.
You have the passion and the knowledge, but I have the facts that can back you up.
Absolutely. You have my back. Thank you. So now, you've been in school systems for a long time, and how have you seen the focus of the School to Career change over time?
Well, it used to was like a career day, or you would have people come in and do cooking in the classrooms and do little wood shop things in the classrooms. And then it evolved into actual programs. Now it's just totally
academic.
It's academic with some of the field trips like you described before. Those are the most important things. The most important things are to get these students out, get them seeing what's there, get them thinking, okay, I want to be a physical therapist. Wait, nope. Now that I see what it is, that's not what I want. But maybe I want something that's similar or a different branch of the health. That's a big, big, big thing, is the get them out there, get them seeing, let them do some internships, let them do some job shadowings. Those are the important things. One of the newer trends, when I did a presentation at NELMS, New England League of Middle Schools. And one of the new trends that I spoke about that actually happened to be in USA Today when I was at NELMS presenting is it's kind of like speed dating, but it's speed mentorships, where you have people who are mentors in different careers and students who want to be a part of different careers, and you meet each other for 5 minutes and you jot down which ones you feel you connect with, and they jot down which ones they feel they connect with, and when you get a match, they meet up. I thought that was such an unusual out of the box thinking.
Sure.
But that's one of the new kind of trends in career education, is because people don't have a lot of time.
Sure.
So this is you kind of instead of speed dating, it's speed mentor.
Yeah, I like it.
Which is pretty cool.
I like it. So are you seeing that there's more of a focus today on School to Career and maybe less emphasis on a 4-year college education? Is it shifting?
I think that unfortunately the emphasis is still on the 4-year college
right now.
Right now.
In 2019.
Yes. I think because that's the mentality that everybody has. That's the mentality that this generation grew up with, that you have to have a 4-year college to get a good job. I'm hoping, I'm not thinking, I'm hoping that as the next generation comes along, they can kind of start knocking out those stereotypes.
Well, Dr. DJ, you do understand that the millennials is the next generation coming up, and they are the most college educated group in America.
We need to knock down that stereotype,
Yeah.
because we really do. And again, like I said earlier, just because you're not going to a 4-year college doesn't mean you're not educated.
Right.
There are so many careers out there that you can have without being educated. I mean, not educated, I'm sorry, without going to a 4-year college. You have to be educated, but you don't have to go to a 4-year college for so many careers. It's just, there's phenomenal.
Well, let me clear that up, because I did say the millennials are the most college educated, but they're also the most in debt. So I think because of that, they will probably embrace the fact that not everybody needs to go to college.
You know, and a good example is my granddaughter. My granddaughter wasn't sure what she wanted to do. She wanted to do something with makeup. We weren't sure. And we went and we toured a school in New York City, in Manhattan. It's all hands on. It's only a 6-month program. She can't wait now to go. And the cost that's going to cost her is a fraction of what it would cost for a 4-year college. And she's going to love what she does.
And is the income potential for her?
It's astronomical.
Okay.
It's think about special effects makeup artists on Hollywood movie sets. She could do anything from Fashion Week to Broadway to weddings to, I mean, she can do all kinds of stuff, whichever way, her passion takes her in within that. But she's, again, spending a fraction of the time and a fraction of the money.
Yeah.
And EMT is another great career, and it's not a 4-year college career. It's a couple months. It's a fraction of the cost of college, and EMTs are in demand, especially now that budgets are getting tighter in towns and volunteerism is not what it used to be in towns. I know personally in Terryville, we have to pay people to cover during the daytime hours because we don't have people who are available during the day. Everybody's working. Mm-hmm. So as that happens in other towns, the demand for an EMT during the day is more. Mm-hmm. So those jobs are in demand. And it's a fraction of what you would pay to go to college.
I think you're bringing up a good point. Volunteerism, I think, overall in America has kind of taken a little bit of a back seat. Families are really not pushing it on their children so much, as well as talking to strangers. There's a big fear of talking to strangers, and I'm a big fan of talking to strangers personally, and for the right reasons, and being connected to people that have the like interest of your child or you. Now, the parent sometimes does not have the same interest as the child. So therefore, talking to that stranger is not of interest to the parent.
Right.
But yet it should be on behalf of the child. So, that's just it's a tough position to be in as a parent to let that child grow through somebody of like-mindedness. But I think that's something that's also kind of a dead art in society.
Well, I think there's a difference between someone who's like-minded and you're trying to collaborate with and boost each other up and celebrate each other, mm-hmm. and someone who is a quote stranger. Right. I think there's a difference between that.
Yeah. Although I do talk to strangers. I do. I love it. And you know what? Because I talk to strangers, I'm able to connect people together,
right,
so that it doesn't appear that they are meeting somebody. It's already been cleared, I guess.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, right. I've provided the clearance. So as we kind of, bring this podcast to a close, I know that all doctors that I know, they're paid to give advice. And I want to hear some advice from Dr. Doughty Jenkins. And I guess the advice first would be to students. What advice would you give to students listening to this podcast today?
Don't be afraid to investigate what you feel is your passion. Don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to check out something that's kind of maybe not quite the same path as somebody else. It might be a little bit unusual, and that's okay. Don't be afraid if your parents went to a 4-year college and you want to do auto body work. That's okay. You're going to be okay. Don't be afraid to ask people in that industry. Ask them tough questions. What do you like about your job? What do you hate about your job? What's the most fun? What's the most grueling? Can I come watch you?
Mm-hmm.
Can I pick your brain? Don't be afraid to reach out and investigate what you feel is your passion. And again, going back to my granddaughter, for her whole life, she wanted to do horses, 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 horses. She wanted to do something with horses. And now, when she realized the things that were involved with it, that wasn't for her. I mean, she enjoys them, she enjoys writing them, but she does not want to base her career on them.
Mm-hmm.
So again,
So getting the whole picture.
Getting the whole picture. She visited, stables. She talked to farmers. She volunteered at some stables, and then realized, that's not what she wanted. That's
great.
you may find what you love, but just as good is you find out it's not quite what I want.
Sure.
So you don't spend all kinds of energy toward that goal, and then when you get there, realize it's not what you wanted.
Well, you as a grandparent should be commended for actually taking her on the exploration that the schools probably are not budgeted to do, and no one else was kind of. So you're an outside the box thinker too.
Yeah.
So, which is awesome. So definitely kudos to you. Now, advice to parents, because now
parents, I would say, be supportive of your children. Be supportive of your students, even if their career choice is something that's not in the mainstream. That's okay. The world needs all kinds of people in order for it to move, in order for it to go around, and in order for all of us to grow and live a happy life. We need all different kinds of people. And it's okay to be different. It's okay that your child wants to follow a different path than what your path is. Be supportive. I'm lucky. I have very supportive parents. They went to NELMS when I presented at NELMS. They traveled all the way to Rhode Island. They've gone to Board of Ed meetings where I've spoken. They've just been supportive my whole life, and it makes it easier for me to take risks when I know they're going to be supportive. So be supportive of your child so that they won't be afraid to take risks. And when they do stumble in that risk, be supportive of them as well. Don't fix it. Don't make it better for them. Let them do that themselves. But let them know I got your back if you need it.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And you as a teacher, what advice would you give to other teachers out there?
Teachers, I would say try to get to know students, things that they do outside of school, because just ask them, just have an interest in them. I have so many anecdotes from my life. I had a teacher when I was in elementary school. My big passion, and you're gonna laugh, was baton twirling. That was my thing. When I was in high school, I was the Connecticut state champion.
For baton
twirling, yes. And when I started out, I was not very good. I went to a school that taught me incorrectly, so I had to go to a different school, learn things the correct way, and everything. And I had a supportive teacher in elementary school who would always ask, how'd you do this week at your competition? Just because one day I had a t-shirt on from my baton school. And as long as you tried your hardest, that's all I ask. As long as you tried your best, that's all I ask. And that kind of fueled me. And in the end, like I said, became state champion. I coached people who competed. So I'm thinking of a student a couple of years ago who was a female that was into motorcycle racing, which is totally not a matching thing you would even think. And this is a very tiny, skinny little petite girl, and they would take off every weekend, go camping for the weekend, and go motorcycle racing every weekend as a family. And she ended up, by me seeing her passion, creating a newsletter for the racetrack.
Nice.
When I had her for when I used to teach journalism, she started a newsletter for her racetrack, and now she runs a newsletter for her racetrack.
That's awesome.
So as for a teacher, don't be afraid to have a conversation. It's very difficult, and I know it is because I am a teacher. But if you happen to hit on something that's unusual or different, or something that you can kind of connect with a student, so that, ask them about it, so that they know that you kind of took a little spark in them, a little interest in them, and they can share some of their excitement.
So you kind of spark as they spark. You see their spark, you spark.
Right, exactly. It's like snowball.
Yeah. And then finally,
administration.
What would you give for advice to administration who are their hands tied, or
a lot of times their hands are tied with financial, which unfortunately. But I would say to administration, let teachers think outside the box. Let them think of creative ways to do things. Let them think of creative ways for students to have creative experiences. When I taught journalism, I had bunches of people. We couldn't do a lot of field trips because for financial reasons, but I had people come in. I had journalists come in. John Lender from the Hartford Courant, Dominic Versella from New Britain Herald came in and spoke. I had photojournalists come in. I had people from ESPN come in. Don't shut the teachers down. Allow them to think out of the box and think creatively to give the students experiences, even though the budget's tight.
I think you're bringing up a great point. So many teachers, when they hear that there's not funding for a field trip, they give up. There's so many people on the outside that would be more than willing to come and speak to your class, and you just need to reach out to them.
And I would say also allow for teachers to do externships, which for those who don't understand what that is, it would be like if I was the teacher, I would go to a certain location, I would find out about that job, find out what goes on at that job, take pictures, and then come back and share that experience with the students. So it's kind of like sort of like the opposite of an internship almost, so that they can see what goes on, or I can explain to them what goes on. Allow that time away from the classroom, because it's going to, the education isn't always sitting at a desk in front of a classroom.
I absolutely agree. So I want to thank you very much
Thank
for
you
being
so
my
much
guest.
for having me.
Is there any final word? Are there any final words that you would?
Just want to touch back and circle back to the title of the podcast, which is, do I need college? And the big overarching answer is not everyone needs college. There's so many opportunities out there. There's so many different ways that you can make it a good life for yourself, with hands-on education, with education that's not as long as a 4-year college. Don't be afraid to explore. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask people. And don't be afraid to follow your passion, because not everyone needs to go to a 4-year college. It's not cut out for everybody. It all depends on your learning style. And a learning style is not just, you're going to guidance and you're plugging in a computer answers and you're getting spit out a career, because that's not always what you're meant to do.
That's right.
So just explore, the program may say you're supposed to be something in transportation, but you're really supposed to be a meteorologist in your heart. So don't be afraid to explore things and reach out and branch out, even though those types of things tell you something else. You don't have to follow that formula. So don't follow the formula, and you don't have to go to college, and follow your passion would be my 3 overarching themes to wrap up our.
Yeah. Well, I certainly have heard you loud and clear today. And I'm hoping that many other people out there that are parenting, going to school, teaching, or administrating schools are hearing you loud and clear as well. There's a way around budget, and it's time to allow the teachers to think outside the box so that they can allow inspiration to enter their classrooms, so that these children ages 10 and older, K through 12,
K
life, can absolutely connect with a career path that interests them.
Yep.
So thank you for being my guest.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
All right. And again, workitcareers.com for more information on how you can find your perfect career path. And look forward to talking with you again next week. Thank you, everybody.